Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Just the Cast with myself, Yajat and Swayam. Yes, he's back. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things that have gone down over the past few weeks. So let's just get right into it. Presidential elections in the US.
Yeah, so we thought we'll speak about the presidential elections since I think they're coming up. Hashtag
You think?
Kanye for 2020. I think they're coming up. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Anyways, one of the major headlines about this that has recently come up is the selection of Kamala Harris to run as vice president alongside Joe Biden.
Jai Shri Krishna is all I have to say.
That was every Indian's reaction to that news headline. Wait, so before we go on,
from two ways. One is me as an Indian. I think it's very cool that we have someone with Indian descent.
As I said, I don't know where Swayam is.
But at the same time, it's
Definitely, totally.
Anyways, so I just love this personal headline, which is from NDTV. It says Kamala Harris on her mother, long walks in Chennai and love for Italy. I think this encapsulates what we want from Kamala Harris. It's a weird feeling. I don't know, like Indians obviously try to jump on any NRI cred that we can get. But if this actually happens, which we'll speak about in a minute, like what are the thoughts on and any updates if we have for you on the presidential race. I don't know how I feel about this. It's quite,
same.
Even if
I won't know how I feel about this, like, for sure until she is elected. If she is elected, if that makes sense.
I mean, she won't be elected. Joe Biden will be elected, but yeah.
I mean, like, obviously there's that sense of feeling that, like, oh my god, an Indian is going to be in office or whatever. But at the same time, other than just her heritage, you also have to look at her policies or the policies Joe Biden supports, because largely Donald Trump has been pro-India. You've all seen the pictures of him hugging Modi, doing things with Modi, right? And they have had a good relationship, and at the same time, deteriorating relationships with Pakistan. They stopped funding to Pakistan in like the largest numbers at times ever. So that arguably is good for India in some sense. So I think more than just her being Indian, you have to examine Joe Biden's policies, because let's not forget, Joe Biden has already been in office as vice president for 8 years. And although they weren't bad relationships with India, they weren't particularly amazing either. Something to keep in mind.
Basically, what he's trying to say is just because she's half Indian doesn't mean she'll be a better fit for us than Donald Trump.
Yeah,
like Donald Trump had good relations with us.
She doesn't have a moral obligation to be like, oh, I'm half Indian, I must help out her Indian brothers.
She is not Atmanirbhar, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, so no, one thing that this is not even a Kamala Harris thing. Even if she wasn't there, this probably would have happened, given the fact that Trump's position on immigration, which I'm sure most Indians are happy for, is not as good, right? But like now you have, like, on the opposite, in order to make this sort of opposition, they need to, like, the Democratic Party, like under Obama especially, there was quite a lenient policy on visa. So I think that's also one thing, but that has nothing to do with Kamala Harris in specific though.
Yeah, we just want to go to college, honestly.
This might seem as a bit of like an odd question. Might come off as insensitive too, but do you think there is a chance that Kamala Harris was only selected due to the fact that she is a person of color and she has been the daughter of immigrants?
I mean, it could definitely have an influence, especially considering the stuff that America's gone through in the past few months. But I don't know whether that would be like a main factor in this case.
Yeah, like I'm sure when Joe Biden was choosing, I mean, it's like this entire thing, especially in American, not at all in Indian politics, but there's this stereotype of like that white man, like everybody's under the power of a white man. So anything other than that, obviously it gives a different image. Like Trump had Mike Pence. You would never see Trump surrounding like that. Be one or two women in the background in power, but like it was never a prerogative of seeing that much diversity. So again, this sort of alludes to our affirmative action podcast. Check it out, link in description. Where we spoke about like somebody's merit versus just somebody's skin and color, and how would that affect their admission, or perhaps I don't know. That's just a conversation for us to have. No, all I was saying was that like in terms of our 2% US audience will know people who are voting or not. Like, just think about this when you vote, or even if you don't vote, like in terms of how you view politics, right? Like we've pointed out, this might be the case, but just keep this in mind while you're making your decision, right? That's all.
100%.
And please
I
vote.
think politicians.
That's a big thing
Vote,
there. They
yeah,
don't vote. Just
vote.
please go to vote.
Yeah, people are rigging elections. You're not voting only. What is this? Just out of this entire Kamala Harris thing, there's only good things that have come out, which are news headlines.
Please call her
Like
Kamala
all...
Devi Harris. Like
Kamala Devi Harris. I don't. What was I saying? Yeah, like the Trump quotes, the Kamala quotes that you get in headlines. I have more Indians than she has. It's just random. What does that even mean? It's just. Oh man.
But anyway.
But people are linking her to Pizzagate now.
I don't know what that is.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what Pizzagate is.
What is Pizzagate?
It was a joke by 4chan.
An upcoming.
It was like an entire false story cooked up on 4chan, which is like a more edgy version of Reddit. I don't even think that was a thing. But
Reddit's already pretty edgy.
Yeah, it linked all of the Hillary, and it basically linked Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party back in 2016 to
Wait, so
Jeffrey Epstein.
do you want to... Yeah, that's basically what Pizzagate was for our viewers. It was this conspiracy theory that went viral during the 2016 presidential election, which was basically something that there was some sort of pedophile ring, basically. Like that was...
It's a very entangled web. We honestly can't explain it even if...
I've seen pictures of Epstein with Trump. I've seen him with the Prince of England. I've seen him with Democrats also.
I don't know why we've transitioned into Jeffrey Epstein, but it's fine.
Sure.
But he had this entire book, I think it's called the Black Book or something like that, but where he had like the names and numbers of like really famous people. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you don't want those people to be speaking to Jeffrey Epstein. Like they're like, oh my god. I think Robert Downey Jr., I don't want to call him out. Don't be mad at me.
There's a lot of celebrities that got called out under this. If you want to look it up, just Google Pizzagate. The reason it's called Pizzagate is because this entire theory was made around the fact that they were running this pedophile ring under the cover of a pizza parlor.
Or something.
I don't want to take any names, but...
That's fine. We love all pizza parlors. Sponsor us. Okay.
But I think this presidential election is going to be pretty fun to watch. Not to watch, but like...
It's always fun to watch, dude. But like, it's always some weird stuff happens there.
Not really, because I think America is very divided right now. Even more so than in 2016. So it'll be fun to see what happens. My prediction is that Donald Trump's going to win again. Once again, he's going to lose the majority vote, but he's through the electoral college system. He's going to end up winning.
Donald bhai, visa dila do yaar.
My immigration officer is going to see this one day, and I am not okay with this. Kindly blur this out.
Just blur his face out. Don't change what he said on it.
Who is Swayam?
Anyways, no, I was saying, like, I personally, like, I'm not even saying this because I want this to happen, but like, I think Joe Biden's gonna win, but like, I want to know for somebody who thinks like, okay, first of all, so Samarth, what do you think?
So personally, I initially thought it would be Joe Biden, but then I think you or someone told me this, and I thought about it, and it kind of made sense. People that support Trump aren't as vocal as people that hate Trump. So we don't really know whether Trump has a lot of supporters or he doesn't.
Which is what happened with Brexit and Trump. So it's like all the bad things in the world.
Yeah, Trump has this line he keeps saying on social media everywhere,
What? No, good things. What? Nothing.
So
Those are
Trump has
not
been
my
running-
views.
He says the silent majority has never been stronger. Silent majority has never been stronger. Twitter, Instagram, it's everywhere, which basically means that like हम बोलते नहीं है पर we have the numbers.
Secret.
Yeah, like what I want to know is like through the course of the last 4 or 5 years, do you think Trump's done himself any favors? Or has he like lost? Because I think that just answers it, right? Like if Trump has lost followers or he's done something that his followers were particularly averse, like that's possibly a reason that he would lose, right? Like,
I'm sure he's lost some and gained some.
Yeah, definitely.
what happened to the wall?
It's
didn't
being
know.
built.
Not bana.
It's being
Like-
built.
Large portions of it have already been built. Mexico didn't end up paying for it. Trump only made taxpayers pay for it. But ban gaya thoda sa.
I don't know. It's just I think a lot of maybe I think only two things can overturn this election. I think it's the first being people who didn't vote last time because they thought it's going to be a landslide for Hillary, like let's say the college crowd perhaps.
Bro, Gen Z, bro.
Yeah, like that, and maybe I feel like a bunch of on the edge voters, but I don't think that's likely. I think Trump, people who vote for Trump are like diehard Trump fans. It's sort of like Salman Khan. I feel like that's a good analogy to Donald Trump.
Okay. Acceptable.
And the sidewalk is America.
Okay, everybody, we move on to the next.
But okay, another thing in the news recently is the recent Fortnite iOS beef that's going on. I don't know much about it because I'm not into gaming.
Hey Swayam, have you heard about the new Fortnite iOS beef?
Shut up, Yajat.
No.
Okay, so Fortnite has been. First of all, if you don't know what Fortnite is, I don't know. Like, kya kar rahe ho yaar? So, Fortnite, a very popular game over the past 2-3 years, has been kicked off the Apple Store and
as well as the Google Play Store.
Yeah, now even the Google Play Store. I think it was because Fortnite lowered its prices for the in-game currency, and obviously
Yes.
Apple and Google take a percentage of that, right? But I think Apple and Google said that they're going to take the percentage of the initial amount.
So basically what happened was they said that they try to buy, like when you pay for anything in-app purchase, it
Yeah.
normally shows up like Apple, like it shows like the Apple App Store.
Oh,
or like
yeah,
the
yeah.
Google. They try to bypass that and make this epic direct payment, 10 on 10 branding. And they try to bypass like Google and Apple and straight away get the discounted V-Bucks that you were talking about, which is the in-game currency.
Yes.
So I think that's what happened. And they basically cut out 30% of whatever in-app purchase subscriptions that both app stores that actually they normally get, they didn't get that. And well, this is what happened.
I personally think Epic Games is in the wrong here because Apple and Google are like distributing their app on such a large scale, and to not give them a percentage of what you're earning through these in-app purchases seems kind of but I don't know, what do you guys think?
I can't speak much to it because I don't really know games and stuff.
So I'm not an avid gamer boy is what he's trying to say.
No, but even if you don't know
Although I
games,
have
just
very
talk
nice-
about it. Just tell us what you think on like a general note, right? Like, you know what's happening now. You know Apple
Before I do
distributes
that, I
apps
just
on
wanted
such
to point out these nice headphones I have recently treated myself with. And no longer have to use cheap earphones on the podcast. So
Hashtag Swayam is spoilt in the comments.
My views on it would be, I don't know really. Like, there are two ways to look at it. One is that Google is like distributing their app. They can honestly, what I think they should do is make it like if someone wants to download an APK straight from their website, they can do that.
But it's much
they
tougher
can
to
get-
do that on the Apple Store now. That's the main issue. Like Google, like initially, Fortnite didn't release on the Google Play Store. You had to download it from the Epic Games website.
So if you can get like APK versions, then you can have that 30% discounted and don't have to pay Google anything. But if you're using the Google Play app or whatever, or the iTunes Store app, then like they're doing
Swayam has not used a mobile device in 25
years.
Google Pixel 2 XL.
Hashtag Swayam is spoiled in the comments. Anyway.
You have the same phone. What are you saying?
It's the smaller version. Okay. So, what was I saying? Yeah, for people who don't know what an APK is, it's just a file that's used. The terminology of an Android app is like APK, like you have JPEG for images.
It's like the Yeezys you get on Amazon.
I mean, okay, sure. I have never bought Yeezys on Amazon. Maybe Swayam can tell us about that. Vedant is raging. Anyways, so speaking about Google, one thing that did happen recently was the Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple hearing in Congress in the US. And I think I just want to think about that because that was very interesting in terms of basically what happened is that these are the three big companies and they were hoarding their market share and they had some pretty anti-competition laws and values. And that's what is Swayam doing?
Sorry, distracted.
Also, Samarth, are you frozen?
Oh, sorry, I was doing my Jeff Bezos impersonation.
Okay.
He froze for like a solid 10 minutes during the hearing.
You're joking?
No, they had to take his
the second or riches, I don't know what his place is, but he doesn't get good Wi-Fi. What is this crazy?
Apparently. Or is he avoiding the question?
No, I think in Congress or something.
Are they lying or are we? Check out the second episode of YouthCast now.
Hashtag kick Swayam.
This episode of YouthCast is sponsored by YouthCast. It's a podcast for the youth. Okay. Anyways, but no, I think that's very interesting. Given that he's so rich, imagine if Congress just like he asked him a question like, is Amazon kicking down small competition? And he's just frozen. And like his secretary comes in the background and she's perfectly fine. And he's just like.
Okay, but what are you guys' views on like one, like big tech, and secondly, just talk about big tech and I'll get back to you.
So basically what happened was that for people who don't know, there's something known as AntiTrust Laws. And basically, since we're like even the US is a capitalistic economy, which basically boils down to one thing, which is that you want competition and that competition breeds new products, right? So if basically what it's saying is that Google owns, I think, 90% of like search engine market share. Like basically everybody Googles it, nobody goes to Bing. I don't care what you say, Microsoft Edge. But
wow, so edgy.
Yeah, so now Google doesn't have the incentive to improve. So to speak, like if there was a 50-50, let's say Safari and Google Chrome were competing, Google would want to improve their software, Google would want to improve their algorithms, etc. So this basically stems from that, and it applies to all the big four tech companies with Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Apple.
Yeah, and there was like accusations thrown around of Apple monopolizing the App Store side of things. And I think Fortnite has like sort of tried to win public favoritism through that. Like they're doing this entire hashtag free Fortnite 1980 thing.
So basically Apple had this really iconic ad in the 80s where they were like breaking stuff with like a hammer or something. Fortnite did the exact same thing but with like Apple as the bad guy instead. But yeah, one question I wanted to ask you is I've been seeing this a lot on Instagram saying, eat the billionaires. How can there be billionaires in the world?
You said billionaires. I was like, burgers. What?
I thought you said Binod,
the
but
bunnies.
That's something else only. Anyways, yeah.
What are your views on that?
That's like a capitalism versus socialism thing, right?
I don't think necessarily. Like it's like In the sense that, like, okay, I'll tell you my
but
views
like
on it.
the reason I said that is because the people that say this always say that, oh, the billionaires, it's a duty for the billionaires to give back to the community, not just use what they earn for themselves. Even though they probably do donate to charities, it's a duty for these billionaires to give back, to donate to multiple organizations, to always do the right thing with their money.
So two things. This is somebody else's opinion for sure. I have heard it on a separate podcast, but I do not know what it is, so I cannot call it out. Anyways, the point basically that was made not by me was that, like, first of all, let's say you put this in place. I don't think billionaires should be the people also deciding where this money goes to. I think that should ideally be the government, and this payment should ideally be tax. Like, I don't know why we are like relying on the social responsibility of these billionaires. Like, in an ideal scenario, the billionaire should be paying some amount of tax, which will, even if it's just the same percentage, it'll be still a lot of money. Like, if you're earning whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, like the bracket system that India follows, right?
And
There's 3 brackets of income tax in India. I'm not sure of the exact numbers.
Yeah,
I'm sure US has something similar in place, but the problem
is, like, below 5 lakhs. Wait, forget it. No one cares about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, I think there's something similar in the US. But the only problem with that is what people don't realize is billionaires, they have their money in assets and stock and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, technically, I was seeing that one of the biggest CEOs of one of the biggest companies in the world, his annual salary is only $1.6 million, which is a lot, but it's nothing for him, right? His actual wealth as a billionaire comes from what he owns in his company and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tax. And the thing is, all of these big tech companies, they usually don't pay a lot of income tax. They find ways to avoid it. Apple has like $1 trillion stuck offshore, which they're not being able to use for any of their own projects. Because the second they bring it home, they wanted to buy Netflix, but they couldn't do it because they had money stuck in offshore accounts. Amazon didn't pay tax in 2017 at all, $0. So they have
No. This is how can you be misinformed on the YouthCast podcast?
Yes,
Amazon did not.
They didn't pay some type of tax.
Exactly, they didn't pay some type of tax.
Yeah.
They paid some 500 million, or I don't know what the figure was, but they paid some amount in tax. But you're right. I feel like by this point it should be fixed. Like, these weird patches that people like. On our level, again, people try to avoid income tax by, like, gifting some money to a family member or whatever. But I feel like that's not as much. No, this is actually what people do.
Yeah, it is a thing.
You don't have to pay tax on a gift. But like, when it happens, like, in the US, most of what these countries, so I think it's a cold fusion video, where they basically, like, if you check it out, all of these companies headquarters, not headquarters. They're basically, I don't know what the official term is, but they're set up on paper in some random country which has some very lenient tax laws. So, like, you'll find them in countries like Ireland, Norway, like that sort of places. Like, all these big tech companies. So even if they're actually based in the US or whatever, they have to follow the tax laws of, like, Ireland or something. So no problems to the Ireland audience. You guys are great. But in general, this is what happens.
Makes sense. Big tech is bad.
I just think the loopholes that the big tech is taking advantage of need to be patched. The big tech is not necessarily bad. They've done a lot for us.
But just to, like, round things up really well in our podcast, since we were talking about the 2020 presidential elections, one of the earlier candidates who dropped out was this guy called Andrew Yang.
Yang Gang!
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yang Gang!
Math.
Oh, I love that guy, dude.
But one of his entire campaign was based upon the fact that big tech is not paying taxes. It's hurting Americans. What we'll do is we're gonna put such good tax laws into place that big tech is gonna have to pay billions of dollars in taxes, and through that we're gonna give every single American citizen a lump sum of money every month, which they can use to do whatever they want and, like, lift themselves out of poverty.
I feel like one thing we don't realize is, like, the reason Google and Facebook were involved especially was the fact that, like, they basically Facebook. I don't know how. To be honest, I don't know anybody.
I think
but like
the
they
reason
own
Facebook
they
was
own
involved is
Instagram,
because
they own WhatsApp.
they buy every like new coming social media app, right? Any competition that they see to Facebook, they just acquire it.
That, and they basically like, especially Google, it basically controls how information is disseminated to us. Like, it's just like, it's not even a competition anymore. Like, the amount of times, and I swear this is not example of Google, this is example of Twitter, but back in like 2014ish, 2015, there used to be this big thing about how, like, you know, like how YouTubers would Google themselves, and then they would find, like, I don't know, KSI, is he dead, is he alive? Because there used to be this just major things on Twitter saying that, oh, this person, XYZ person is dead, Jackie Chan is dead, or whatever. And it would, since you would have no way of figuring it out, it would just like, then that's when you really realize the power of anything on Google, Twitter, or any of these big platforms. Because since you have no real way of checking it, it just becomes like, this is the truth, this is the ultimate truth.
Yeah. Another massive news for at least us Indians, which is 80% of our audience, is the fact that one of our captains and greatest players of all time, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, has finally announced his retirement. And Suresh Raina ke saath uska acha bond hai. Suresh bhai was like, main bhi retire ho jata hu saath mein.
It was beautiful, bro. He quote retweeted Dhoni's retirement tweet and said, "I will join you, brother." Dhoni is the rider.
That's the weirdest.
Raina is the provider.
I'm a provider. Bring the heat, girl. I will bring the fire.
But what was I saying? No, I mean, for Dhoni, it's always been this thing of like, you know, like 2011, like Dhoni, like 2004, 2011, that was like peak Dhoni. Like at that point, if Dhoni came out, you were like, some shit's about to go down. And then it just became this very sad ending to this career where I was like, man, Dhoni's out, he's going to do like ones and twos. We read like 10 rounds are over, but like he'll make like 3. And it was this very, I don't know, it's always been with sportsmen. Like very few of them get out on their like
best.
Their best, their prime. Because they
often like Zlatan is always on his prime.
Because, Zlatan. I didn't want to speak about Sachin. Okay. But yeah.
No, but I think it's different that way for football because, like, for cricket, I'm pretty sure there are other leagues, but you can't go from the IPL to like a secondary version of the IPL or an easier league, right? But
Big Bash League?
I don't know what that is, but I don't watch cricket. But with football,
no, Big Bash League. What are you crazy or what?
No, I haven't watched cricket in like since I was like 8. But
no one watches Big Bash League.
Basically, with football, you have the option of when you're old, you can't play in the Premier League anymore. The competition's too tough. You can move to an easier league.
Just saying, the Ether League, there is no Premier League club.
Is Ranji Trophy basically. So, and nobody wants to play Ranji Trophy. They're getting more money from ads. So, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's just sad because at one time you want to see Dhoni win, you want to see him like be the pride of the nation, but at the same time, like he's not winning, he's not being the pride of the nation, and you want what's best for your country, so you want them to replace him with like a younger, better, quicker player, but at the same time he's Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So like it's mixed feelings for me, but now I'm pretty sad that he's retired.
So Swayam is insulting his cricketing style, and yes, sad.
He's my favorite player.
I mean, he's always like, you know, like the thing with cricket especially is also like, I don't know if this happens in football, but like because there's only like, let's say in football you support one team, but people in that team sort of come and go. So it's not like, I don't feel like you get attached to that much of a one player. But the issue with cricket is when players come and they're good, they stay for like 10-15 years. So it's like you sort of get used to, like when you're watching only, that third wicket is gone, your fourth wicket is gone, you're expecting Dhoni to get on. You're not expecting Rishabh Pant or Kedar Jadhav or whoever's
Love that guy.
But the IPL is starting in a bit, and this might be the last season that we get to see Suresh Raina and MSD
What a
play.
legend. What a legend.
So it's happening in the Middle East, I think, not in India.
Oh.
Yeah, they couldn't. It was too risky to have it in India. So one of the countries offered. They paid a lot of money, and then now it's going to be happening starting in a while. So I really want to see Dhoni have one, like, go off on a high. You know, like not that 1 or 2 single stuff, but if he
It's
hits
just like
six,
give him some underarm balls, let him hit some sixes. Everybody's happy.
Okay, he's not bad, guys. He's a professional cricketer. He's old. He's not bad.
But I think an end of an era for sports is coming. You've seen that Messi is slower now. Ronaldo is thinking of leaving Juventus. Like a lot of things are changing, right? And like in a while, the players that we love and have grown up with are not going to be there anymore, and we will have to.
They're not dying. They're just leaving football and cricket. No, but like even in terms of cricket, like you see, like in the 2011 World Cup, who's left from that? I think it's just Kohli or Rohit Sharma. It was Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma's left. Kohli. Yeah, everyone's gone. I think.
Okay, like the end of an era, that was the end of this podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, go check out our other videos. Some of them are pretty good. The initial ones were terrible. Yeah.